What is going on, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of GDC 2019. I hope you guys are all doing very well. I am extremely excited about today because I have another awesome day of GDC goodness ahead of me. A little bit later start than today. Right now it's about 8:30 a.m. For whatever reason today, none of the sessions or expo opens up until 10 a.m. So I have had a little bit of extra time in the morning, and I was able to kind of put together a little gameplay video of the game that I'm working on for my 1 game a month challenge. Again, as I mentioned, that it is going to be in sort of this doodle aesthetic, and I'll kind of put some of that gameplay up on the screen right now. And you can kind of get an idea of what kind of game this is probably just by looking at it. But again, this is kind of very early stages of it to just give you kind of an idea of what the game will look like when it's completed. And I just wanted something to show off to people when I talk to people at GDC today. Because today I'm not going to be attending as many sessions. Yesterday I was in pretty much sessions all day long. I had 6 sessions and was just basically bouncing back and forth between sessions. So today I am not attending as many sessions because just kind of the way the scheduling lines up and everything. There are certain gaps where I wasn't extremely interested in some of the sessions. There were some things that sounded cool, but they don't necessarily apply to me right now. So I figured I'd skip that now, and then if I ever want to go watch those later, I can always sign up for a GDC Vault access and get video access to all the sessions that I missed. So I'm going to be having a good amount of time in between to visit the expo floor, talk to different people, and so hopefully get a bunch of good footage for you all. Alright, so I'm currently on the expo floor. Hopefully you guys can hear me alright. It's not too loud, but basically the first thing I did today was I went to the classic postmortem for the game Command & Conquer, which is a classic real-time strategy game. When I was a kid growing up, I played a lot of the Red Alert games, and those were very fun, and Command & Conquer is obviously kind of the beginning of that, so it was really cool to see kind of how they made games back in the day, like nearly 25 years ago. It was a really cool presentation. Basically, it started out, they kind of did this like thing where they installed the game basically, and then it kind of went into the intro cutscene. And then after that, they actually had the composer of the game come out, and he was like playing the electric guitar and just had the whole place rocking. It was a fantastic way to start the day for the second day of GDC. It was a cool talk. There were 4 people up on stage in person, kind of giving their thoughts, from various different disciplines. And then there were a total of 8 other people who they had either video or audio recordings of. And it was a really great way to get a sense of kind of what all the different disciplines did as far as game development goes, and kind of some of the challenges they faced back, in the early 90s of developing video games. And it was kind of interesting because they said that one of the problems they had is it took like forever to build the game. It would take hours and hours and hours when they'd send the game off to the render farm, and it would take several hours for them to actually get a finished product of the game back. But now the new developers who are actually doing a remastered version of Command & Conquer, they kind of are working with that original source code to see how everything worked and everything like that. And they said when they create builds of the game, it literally takes 5 seconds. So it's amazing how quickly technology has improved, and building games now takes few seconds when it did take a few hours. So I'm just going to cruise around the show floor for a little bit. I don't have anything scheduled until about 2 o'clock today, so I'm going to cruise around and kind of see what's going on. Alrighty, so after that I was able to cruise around on the show floor for a little bit, just kind of check out some of the cool new tech and everything that's out there. Next at 2 o'clock I had another session where it was a really interesting talk. It was basically like a guy who released his game without telling anyone. He didn't tell his family, his friends, or anything, and he just kind of wanted to get like a baseline to see kind of what his Steam sales numbers would be like without doing any marketing at all. So he did this for 1 game, and then he consulted with a couple other games where they didn't do like any marketing at all. There were some games that did kind of like put out a couple announcements on their Facebook page and stuff like that. But it was really just kind of like to get a baseline of how a game would sell without any marketing at all. And so I think it was a pretty interesting talk. He didn't really get into a whole lot of details about what exactly the game was or anything, but he did show a bunch of graphs with sales data and everything, so it was pretty good value to get a bunch of like baseline data out of it. But he really just stressed that it's not a good idea to release a game without doing any marketing at all. You really want to do like a marketing push behind it to let people know what your game is and why they should buy it and everything like that. But so anyways, I thought it was a pretty good session. It was only like half hour long, so it wasn't like the full hour long session. So he was really just getting a whole lot of there into as little time as possible as he could. Didn't really have any time to do any questions and answers afterwards, so none of us were really able to go up and ask him anything. But it was still a good talk nonetheless, and I still have a couple more sessions that I'm going to be attending later this day, so stay tuned. All right, so just got out of my next session, and it was called prsuccess.gif, and it was basically about creating GIFs for your game, why you should create GIFs, how important they are in this day and age of people whose attention spans are basically nothing. And so the whole idea behind it was, like why you should create a GIF, how to actually create a GIF, and then once you do, where exactly should you post it. And so he did a great job at really breaking this down. Again, it was only a half-hour talk, so he really just kind of fit a whole lot of stuff into there, but he definitely provided a lot of good information in that talk. And he really proved how creating a good GIF can really get your game noticed and be seen by a whole lot of people who wouldn't normally see your game. So a really interesting talk. And looking forward to my last 2 talks of the day now. Alrighty, so I'm back here at my house after another very long and exciting day at GDC. So right now I'm just going to do a quick little recap of the rest of my day from where I left off. And then I'm going to show you kind of some of the swag that I picked up during the expo, because I got some pretty cool things. So the next talk that I went to was called Platforms Are People Too, The Importance of Finding Your Champion. And the whole idea behind this talk is that each platform holder, you ideally kind of want to identify like a champion for you, someone who is at the company that will fight for your game and show the real decision makers why they think your game is awesome and why your game should be featured within that platform holder store. And he gave some examples about how some of these relationships kind of had started from the beginning and then built over time, and then because these relationships became so strong, some of these games were actually able to be featured at like giant stages like E3 and stuff like that, even though there were kind of small teams making them, but they had someone on the inside that was really campaigning for their game. And so this was a great talk because he was one of these people who, kind of considered himself a champion, someone who would talk up games that he felt were, special and worth it. So he gave a ton of good advice about how you can find these people for yourself and kind of build these relationships over time. And you know what? I think I'm going to give that session my award for favorite session of the day. This talk was super informative, and it built off a lot of the information that I already know, but at the same time showed me like a whole other side of the game industry that I didn't really understand how it exactly worked. And so that was an incredibly meaningful talk, and I'm definitely glad I attended that session. And then the final talk that I went to for the day, absolutely excellent talk. This one was a very popular one. It was a full packed room. It was for Spider-Man PS4, a technical postmortem. And so this talk was put on by one of the programmers over at Insomniac Games who worked on the most recent Spider-Man PS4 game. And he did a great breakdown at how all the high-level systems work. And I mean, the games that I make are on like a very small scale, whereas these are on a massive scale. They have like, well over 100 people working on this game, and they're working with like hundreds and hundreds of terabytes worth of game assets. And so it's just a giant project on a massive scale, and he really talked about how they kind of managed this whole thing and were able to fit it on a Blu-ray, and how they were able to do all kinds of crazy tricks to get the best performance out of the PlayStation 4 without having significant load times and stuff. And a lot of the stuff he said was kind of like a balancing act. There were certain things that they could have optimized better, but they just didn't really need to because it wouldn't make any sense to spend all the time to do that. So that was another excellent talk. I mean, I'm a programmer myself, but a lot of the stuff that he went into detail with went just completely over my head. It was a very in-depth talk, and I really appreciate talks like that. So anyways, those were all the talks I attended at GDC today. So let's talk about some of the swag that I picked up, some of the cool merch that I picked up along the show floor. So the first thing, you guys saw this yesterday, but I got this nice purple Unreal t-shirt. And I was like, you know what? I like this shirt a lot. It fits really nice. It's got a good color. I'm gonna pick up another one of these. So I got a blue one here. Pretty much the same shirt, but it's blue color now. Next thing, I don't even exactly know what this is. It's kind of something in a bag. So we'll be opening this up live on camera here. This is like some type of fabric tube type thing. Honestly, I kind of just picked this up because I thought it'd be something that I can kind of hang up on my wall over there. And so yeah, I might just kind of rip this down the seam here, and I got this thing to hang up on the wall. So that's cool. All right, what is the next thing that we have here? Hey, look at that. Another Unreal t-shirt. Nice. Thanks, Epic Games. You're so kind. All right, next thing I got. This one's kind of a cool one. This is something I got from Insomniac Games. It is a little set of colored pencils. So you see here, we got all sorts of colors in there. And actually the cap of this, kind of the holder here, it's a pencil sharpener. So it's kind of a all-in-one. All right, let's see. What else did I get here? Hey, is this another t-shirt? Here we go. Got a Fortnite t-shirt. Thanks, Epic Games. You're so awesome. In all seriousness, though, I do like this shirt quite a bit. The color looks a bit different than it looks on camera, it looks like. But it is a cool color. And this might be the shirt that I'm going to be rocking tomorrow. We'll see. But I mean, I just have so many shirts to choose from. I don't even know what to do with myself now. I mean, I basically have like a whole week's worth of clothes right here. I'm happy. Those are good shirts. Promise, no more Unreal t-shirts, but I do have some Unreal socks. So, neat. Cool. Actually, this water bottle, I got this from Epic Games last year. It had a bunch of logos and stuff on it, but they have since worn off. They were giving away similar water bottles this year, but they're like half the height. And so I'm like, I'll stick with the one I got. All right, so that's going to conclude my day 2 recap of GDC 2019. I hope you enjoyed it. But don't worry, I still have one more day of GDC goodness coming at you. So stay tuned for that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the cool videos that I have planned coming up. If you have any questions or comments for me, feel free to drop them down in the comments section below. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.